Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fill Me In, where we dive deeper into the world of aesthetics. We have a really exciting guest today, Melissa Giordano. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes. All right. So you're born and raised here?
Born and raised in New Jersey.
Yes. Whereabouts in New Jersey?
So I grew up in East Rutherford.
Okay.
And I live close to where you are, Nicole. I'm up in West Milford, New Jersey.
Okay. Amazing. So tell us about your journey. You've been in aesthetics for a long time. I often refer to you as the Princess Diana of aesthetics, as like just Miss Congeniality. I'm just obsessed. Okay. I just love you. And a lot of us think of you that way. So tell us like your journey, like where you started, where you are now. Cause I mean, you came from aesthetics when it first kind of started, right?
Kind of when it first started. So I started my career in aesthetics in 2003. But before I was in aesthetics, I'd taken some general ed courses, kind of didn't know where I wanted to be, just career wise. Killed some time, waitressing, cocktail waitressing and bartending at night and kind of figuring things out. I even managed a band at some point in time.
I
love that. And, I was always really great with my hands, with art. Always loved aesthetics, just, generally. And it started by opening up a Cosmo magazine. And I saw this advertisement for laser hair removal. And I was like, this is earth-shattering. So, and this is, mind you, back like in 99. So that was still really new at the time.
Right.
So I found a plastic surgeon who had laser hair removal. I went to his practice. They lasered me. Got laser everywhere. And I was obsessed. And I was like, this is where I want to be, in this type of a setting, like where you can boost someone's confidence.
Absolutely.
Right.
And make them feel comfortable with themselves and just feeling great, And
you mentioned you were in waitressing before. I mean, so it's the people business too. And I feel like a lot of people in aesthetics or in the beauty industry have a background of either being a bartender or sometimes being a waitress as well. So that's
even
really
the art too. Art's huge. That was me as well.
Art.
Yep.
So I didn't really realize back then that, how working in hospitality would serve me well later on,
Yep. So true.
So, fast forward a few years, it was back in 2003. I wasn't a nurse back then. I got in through medical assisting and I really wanted to work in a plastics practice. So, I joined a practice up in Ramsey. It was Ramsey, New Jersey. It was a massive weight loss plastic surgery practice. So it was a father-son practice. The dad did gastric bypass surgery and his son did all the massive weight loss after plastic surgery. So I started off there just doing what I didn't think I was going to do. So I wore many hats. I did insurance pre-certification. I did, surgical scheduling, patient care coordinator. And then one day there was an opportunity to work in the OR. So then I started working in the OR, spent about 4 years working in the OR there and really just kind of found out then like, this is what I want. And I was inspired by the nurses that I worked with, to continue my education. So I went to school to become a nurse at that point in time. So it just kind of, I fell into it and it just happened along the way. Injectables were a really tiny part of an aesthetic practice. Botox had just gotten its FDA approval in 2002.
Okay.
We had products on the shelf that were like Zyplast, like collagen.
Okay.
There was no Juvederm or Restylane at the time.
And how are those injected?
We had to do like a skin test.
Okay.
I wasn't injecting at the time exactly, but a skin test was done and it was, great results with those products, but it only lasted like maybe a month or two.
Right.
So really short lived.
Yeah.
But it was just the tip of the iceberg. So, and then it was just really cool to be a part of it and watch things evolve and to experience it from the level of working in the OR and seeing the anatomy up close and personal.
Yeah, that's huge.
And I didn't realize that my future would be doing injectables. I really thought that I was going to go on to become an RNFA, like a first assist, and stay in the OR because I loved it so much. And a few years later, the dad was retiring at that practice, and I kind of felt like it might have been my time to find something new. So in 2007, I joined the practice that I'm with now, and I've been there for, this will be 18 years.
Insane.
Wow.
Yes. It's like a marriage.
Yeah, no, literally. Well, they're very lucky to have you.
Yes. There's definitely ups and downs with the marriage. And it's definitely served me well. It's been very fulfilling, my role there at the practice. And, so when I joined the Breslow Center, Dr. Gary Breslow, he's doing injectables there more so than what we were doing in the practice that I came from. I'm like, wow, they're kind of busy here with injectables. He's doing surgery, injectables. Well, he starts getting pulled in two different directions. And at that point in time, there was talk of, well, there are some nurse injectors out there, like in the country. And it was our Allergan rep at the time. And she was like, there's like one or two in New Jersey, you might want to talk to them and kind of check it out. And, at that point in time, I'm just kind of looking things up on like the internet, there's no social media. There's no, the three of us know each other through social media. It was very easy to make contact and learn about each other and meet each other in person. Back then it was very, I don't want to say divided, but there was a lot of disconnect. Nobody really knew who was who. So there was probably about 3 nurse injectors in New Jersey,
Wow. Yeah.
And then I just didn't want to start doing this without investigating things a little bit further.
Of course.
And I'm in a plastics practice. I have direct oversight. So I went ahead and took a course. I went aesthetic advancements. That's what it was called. They happened to be in Paramus, the town that I work in.
Yep.
And I went, and that was the first time I ever injected. And it was the best feeling ever.
I love that.
I was going to say, what was it like holding the syringe for the first time?
It came naturally to me because I'd been in the OR working with my hands. I had assisted with injectables for so many years. And also just kind of having the eye for it, especially like I was his eyes,
Right.
Yep.
And, just kind of looking and seeing and helping, do the assessments. And it just kind of really came naturally. It was just different.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I had learned, to inject Botox with 4 to 1, through
we talked about that earliher.
through the surgeon that I work with. And then I take this course and it's 1 to 1. And I'm like, okay, from one extreme to the other.
Yes, right?
Yes.
And
no
then
in between.
And then you kind of learn on your own,
Right.
And then I'm like, I like 2.5 to 1.
Yeah.
But I still have 4 to 1 in my fridge now and 1 to 1.
Right.
And you just learn to evolve with it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. Different areas and different uses. Yep. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the surgery background is huge too. Like you learn to almost read their mind.
Yes.
And it really does set you up for success in the future because you do have that, and you get to see the anatomy in the OR, which is not something everybody gets.
Right.
No, I really think it's the best way to enter the field if possible.
Right.
It's not always possible though, because there's just so many med spas that are opening and that opportunity just doesn't exist for many.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey guys, just popping in to remind you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Injector Jon and Aesthetic Nurse Nicole. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section.
Yeah.
You said the nurses inspired you, obviously, but who really inspired you in your aesthetics journey to get to where you are today?
So in my aesthetics journey, I really, I'm a part of iSpan, right?
Yeah.
I think every nurse injector should be a part of iSpan because you really get to see who the leaders are and the people who came before us and the people who macheted the jungle, right? And the trailblazers that, paved the way, right?
Yep.
And, this just didn't happen overnight, especially, there's a certification, certified aesthetic nurse specialist. Like those nurses went out of their way to make it an exam that is available for us to have that credential, right? So when I look at leaders, when I'm attending a meeting like iSpan, especially someone like Connie Brennan, her career path was very similar to mine. She started off as a medical assistant and then she evolved into aesthetic nursing. So just, my path might be a little bit different than someone else's, right? Maybe you guys came from hospital nursing and then you transitioned to aesthetics, right? My background was more or less, in office-based OR. So I kind of, I managed to skip out of the hospital experience. Not that I was deliberately looking to do that. it was timing.
Right.
But yeah, she kind of stands out to me as someone where, you know, I respect her career path. It's very similar to mine. Leslie Fletcher, you know, she's been around forever and ever. Don Segrillo, like all the leaders, you know? So that resonates with me.
Leslie Fletcher, she's a gem.
Yeah,
She's a
she
gem.
is.
I just did her 75 obscure courses. I did her 50 obscure courses for Botox last year, and she just had a 75 one in Syracuse. So I just went and saw her there. She's wonderful.
I've been wanting to take that.
Oh my
so bad.
gosh, it's wonderful.
And every time she has it in our area, there's something going on where I have to be somewhere or do something. But yeah, I reach out to her every time and I'm like, I'm going to get there. But it's fascinating to me, all those uses.
Yeah,
it really is.
And it's good to know them. Absolutely.
Yes. And she's got the evidence based to back it and all of that. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I like too how you were talking about, you know, how you got into this field and even how they got into the field. Cause we were talking earlier about everyone that's just kind of trying to jump into it and be, you know, expert right away. And it's actually pretty dangerous and we see it often. But yeah, we were chatting about that this morning. Like, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day and it's so important to get the education and go to the cadaver courses and see all of that because you're seeing a lot of these
all of us
2-day
that
injectors.
are go-getters, right? Like, yes, we want to be 10 steps forward, but we have to be patient. You know, like you said, like things can't come tomorrow.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Takes time.
And the three of us are AMI trainers. So, you know, I think it really was eye-opening, especially, you know, your first few trainings when you go into a practice and you see how the cart is put before the horse in many times where it's a, you know, very new injector and they're wanting to jump right into under eyes or they're asking, you know, off-label temple. And it's like, let's start with cannula.
Exactly.
And let's get good at cannula first, right? So there is no shortcut to experience. It happens over time. And sometimes there's mistakes made along the way and we learn from error. We learn from each other.
Of course.
There's a lot of providers out there that don't really invest in their own education. So even just networking and talking to your colleagues and having a support system is really important too.
Yeah, we're huge on that community. Yep. You need it. Yep. And even when you run into issues, you know, if you need Hyaluronics or anything from your neighbor, it's better to be friends and buddies and build a community than be against each other.
Now, I've heard that your practice has an exceptional like patient retention. Like, how have you gotten to that point? Like, what are some tricks of the trade that you could tell us?
So what I can say is that like from the beginning, I was taught very well, right? I've been doing full face assessments since the beginning, right? It's what we teach, right? And you know, you don't want to just meet and treat, right? And that's what a lot of providers end up doing now. It's just lip focused or it's just glabella focused. And it's important to provide the patient with a full face assessment. So I essentially treat it like it's surgery in a syringe, right? And that's always been my philosophy from day one. Pictures are involved. So, you know, that's a part of the consultation. We're doing a full analysis. And this way the patient can feel like, wow, I really got like, you know, a good assessment, even though I can't, you know, and maybe not be able to do all of the things that you're recommending for me in one visit. They walk away feeling educated. So it's been building trust, right? And when you build trust, patients respect that. They rely on you. They want your opinion, your honest opinion, what you can do for them, what you can't do for them. And also saying no when it's appropriate to say no.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always tell the patients who I do have to say no to, somebody's going to say yes.
Right.
And if you go to 3 providers or, you know, a couple of providers, you're going to get yes. And that's not the right thing to do. And that's going to lead you down the wrong path. And then, you know, you're in a situation where, you know, you hear of these things like migration and the things that they talk about, right? Migration isn't an issue in our practice because we treat ethically. We can do things in stages. We don't really make people feel like we're being pushy. They make the choices on their own, but we guide them.
Exactly. Yes. Yep. And that authenticity is huge and they appreciate it.
Right. And also taking the time to do the consultation properly.
Right.
So my consultations are not 15 minutes. They're about an hour and a half. And, you know, we take full face assessment photos. We're fortunate to have Vectra, which is a 3D imaging system. So it really is thorough. And when they're sitting in my chair, they're like, wow, nobody's ever done this for me before.
Yep.
And I want to see them back for their next visit. And I want to plan out, if we're not doing this in one visit, which I really don't encourage somebody to do everything I'm talking about in one visit. I want to do things in steps and get to know you. It's sometimes doing somebody's under eyes in the first visit. I'm kind of like, I don't know how they're going to, deal with this, with a little bit of swelling. And so I kind of want to get to know them with doing a few key areas and then have them come back. So yeah, I think that's been a big part of it.
All right. Yeah. Cause I know for myself too, people that are very green and naive to injectables and they're coming in for the first time, they come in, they want everything, some people, and I'll tell them, let's start with Botox. Let's do full face Botox, right? I want to gain your trust and respect there. And then once we do that, then we can maybe do another area. And then we start kind of bringing everything together.
Right.
And I almost think doing it that way, kind of like you said, just throwing them into it. And also throwing them into it sometimes doesn't look good also. And like doing it slower, it's the way to go. It's safer, obviously, and you're not ever going to overdo it. I feel like you're more honest that way.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so excited that I just want to tell them everything that, we need to be doing, but I hold back, sometimes I hold back on even bringing up lips in a conversation if they haven't asked for it. Or I really feel strongly that they should be doing medical grade skincare, which I touch on at all my visits. And then I have them set up a consultation for skincare as well. And that keeps them very loyal to the practice, programs like Allie, things like that.
And that's something, when I opened up my practice, I initially wanted to just do injectables because, opening up a practice is very overwhelming. And my fiance, he's a family physician. He looked at me and he goes, no, like you need to have skin. Cause I incorporate skincare in all of my consultations as well. And he goes, you need everything here so that you can then offer it to them. So then it was the best decision I ever made because I do the same thing. And most, I would say at least 50% of my patients end up with medical grade skincare. And then they end up obviously either getting a facial at least so that way the esthetician can examine their skin, or, they then, we have Viscia in our practice. So we use Viscia as well to do the skin analysis, and which is very eye opening. And then you can also email them their Viscia skin analysis report to them with your recommendations. So that way they can then, because sometimes it's very overwhelming when they're just sitting there in front of you.
They go home with something. It makes them think about it.
It does.
Yep. And even if they don't buy it that day, they can come back and purchase it at a later date.
But doesn't the skincare make our results shine?
Yes.
Amazing.
Right? When they take good care of their skin, it ties everything together.
Yes. I always tell them, I said, especially in, more aging skin, right? A lot of sun damage. We've all seen it, right? And more crepey skin. I always tell patients, we have to almost prime your skin, get your skin ready to support injectables. And let's start with skin health, and then we can then Botox, and then maybe we can talk about doing, fillers for volume restoration.
Beautiful.
I keep forgetting the saying. Protect what you inject.
Protect what you inject. Yeah.
100%. Skin investment.
Skin investment.
Yes. I love that. Oh my gosh. Skin investment. I love that.
Yes.
And you talked about your consults being like an hour and a half and kind of going into full face assessments with everybody. Is there ever a patient where you might be like, ooh, this is a little bit of a red flag. Maybe I need to kind of step back, and how do you have that conversation with them or tell them? Because, like you said, some people want to jump right into it and you kind of have to be almost like reading them and making sure that they can handle the aftercare and all of that. Like, do you ever come across that kind of situation?
So I think it's really important to understand why they're here. Why today? I always like to ask these little questions. Do you have an event coming up? Have you been thinking about this for a long time? What excited you to do this, So that usually is pretty telling, when they talk to me about that. I really want to make sure that injectables are right for them. If they have the idea that this is a surgical outcome, this is what I'm looking for. I just, if they're not really giving me the right answers, chances are we're not aligned with what our goals are. And, we are performing injectables, lasers, medical grade skincare. It's not surgery. So if their mindset is that this is going to be a surgical type of an outcome, we have to address that. And also, a lot of times, they want to bank on the longevity, so, okay, I won't have to come back for a year, right? That's not really the case, right? This is a relationship, and that we want to have you come back for maintenance. I really don't want you to go longer than, say, 6 months before we take a look and see what needs to be maintained. So I always let patients know, you're going to be in every 3-4 months, say, for Botox. At that point in time, we can reassess and see how things are holding up, and if we need to maintain anything at that point in time. How do you feel about the maintenance? This is what I want to understand. This has to fit within your lifestyle. It is a luxury. Anything, even just a simple Botox to the glabella, is a luxury, and it just has to be fitting for your lifestyle. And I don't want this to hurt you in any way. So I just want to make sure that it's the right fit.
This is so true, because so many patients, and rightfully so, they want to come in and they want a quick fix. But like you said, that's more of a surgical, would you say?
Right.
Treatment. And this is more of like a long-term relationship with aesthetics and injectables and skincare and all of that. And like you said, Rome isn't built in a day.
Yeah, that's why the consultation is so important. I think a lot of people will be like shocked by the 1.5-hour consult, because they'll be like, how do you do that? But you inject same day too, or?
Yes. Okay. So I have the front desk staff ask over the phone, like, are you interested in getting a treatment done that day? If they're totally not interested in getting a treatment done that day, then we'll kind of cut it down to maybe an hour.
Okay.
But we do take our time with the patients. I mean, it's not like we're moving slow, but the pictures, the assessment, the medical history, kind of getting to know each other and just making sure that we're aligned, and then going through my plan. So when I plan with them, I kind of map out in the mirror, and I kind of show them on the face, like, these are the key areas that we need to address, helping them understand fat pad changes, bone loss changes that are also impacting the jowl. So like, they know what they don't like, but it's our job to show them the why behind, why is the jowl there? Why is the fold deep? Why are the lips deflated? Why is there perioral lines? It's important for us to give them the education, because that is valuable. It's extremely valuable. And once they buy into the education, and they're all in, and they trust you. So that's really what it's all about for me, for the consultation.
Usually price isn't usually an issue too, or less of an issue.
It's less of an issue because the value.
Exactly.
And the value is added from the first phone call.
Right.
How they answer the phone, how they're treated, how they're accommodated to fit into your schedule. So it all matters. It's the whole experience.
Yeah. And I think especially if they've come from somewhere else where they haven't gotten that experience, those are the people that really appreciate it. And they're like, wow, this was never explained to me,
Right.
So
even just taking pictures.
Difference.
Like some places haven't even taken their pictures.
Which is crazy, right?
Yes.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Now, who is now on your team, like during this whole process, the consultation, you have pictures, all of that. Who is there assisting you?
So I have an assistant. Her name is Vincenza. I love her.
Do we love her? Yes.
Yes. So Vincenza initiates that, the intake with them. A lot of times she'll try to get it, before they come in. This way it gives us more time in the office, but she'll do the intake. She'll do the medical history. She'll bring them into the photo suite and get their pictures done. She'll bring them back to my room and do the medical history if they haven't done it by phone, right? And then I meet with our patient, do the assessment, come up with a treatment plan. And then my assistant keeps me afloat by helping me with just consents, numbing cream.
Cleaning the face.
Doing all of that and prepping the patient, and then doing next appointment and check out and all that stuff.
That's really
so
nice.
It just keeps me moving along. Or, say I'm running behind with my patient, she can get my next patient started for me, and then I can fit maybe another patient into that hour, something like that.
So are you booking their next appointment in the room before they leave?
Yes.
Yeah, that's smart.
I think that's
very
huge.
smart.
Yeah.
That.
Botox is always booked in advance. I have some patients that book like 2 or 3 Botoxes in advance. Sure. This way they want to lock in their dates. But that establishes loyalty, and you don't want to let a patient leave the practice without booking their next visit.
Right.
because then life kind of goes by
So
and then
true.
they forget.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, how often do we forget to do self-care for ourselves?
Yep.
Like
Oh my gosh, all the
anytime I
time.
go and get a massage, I'm like, I'm going to do this every
Right.
month.
Yeah.
And then I don't get it.
And they always say,
I'm
right? They're
it's
like, you need to be
really-
here every week, actually.
They're feeling your back and they're like,
Yeah.
ooh, yes.
Yeah. But it's so true. Like, when was the last time I got my hair cut? I couldn't tell you.
Oh my gosh.
Or I try to keep them on track with Diamond Glow. Like you can essentially do your Diamond Glow, Botox, and SkinViVe, like all in one visit. And then that keeps you on track with your skincare
So
too.
true. So true.
Yes. Social media. Let's talk social media. So like how, compared to when you started, now social media, like we talked about, we know each other from Instagram and things like that. Obviously we're AMI trainers. We know each other from that. But how are you keeping up with like modern day, like social media?
I try not to think about it too much, you know, like I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm busy. I'm posting before and after photos, things that I find are relevant and important to share, but I'm not like dancing on social media or anything like that, or like making, you know, like I think that there's like a whole level of professionalism that
Are you talking about my Instagram,
Is it
by the
you?
way? Yeah.
No, you don't dance.
When I'm the patient trying to get in.
Oh, that
last minute
was
appointment.
funny.
That's cute.
Oh, no. I know. I was just messing with those.
But no, I keep it profesh, you
Yes.
know, before and after photos, stories, things like that. But yeah, I'm just keeping up with it.
Yeah,
you know?
I think a lot of people fall trapped to that too. Like they need to be posting every day or 8
I
to
think
10
if you're a new
stories
injector,
daily.
you need to be doing that.
Yeah, and sharing your work.
Yes.
And yeah,
100%.
yeah.
So like social media happened when I was already kind of full and busy.
Right.
So I guess that's maybe why I feel the way I feel about it. It's like, it's just for fun for me. I'm like, okay, let me share this photo because I think it came out awesome.
Right.
But like, if you're a new injector, you must be on social
Right,
media
right.
every day and posting not just before and afters, but educational content or anything to kind of keep you visible.
Yep.
I only got Instagram probably, when did this all happen? Maybe 2018,
Yeah, yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
when I actually got it.
And I didn't even believe that I needed one. I'm like, but then I thought about it and I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like you can show your before and afters. Like
Right,
I never
right.
really did that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got a lot of good results that I can be like, just to have your professional portfolio up there
Yes.
and just to look back on like, even for us to look back on our work. Like
Yep.
when I scroll
Thanks.
all the
Oh
way
my
to the
gosh, right?
bottom and I'm
Yeah.
like, my lips are way better
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Like my
right.
jawlines are way better now, right?
Well, it's so
work is
true because
beautiful.
even I got
Thank
into it
you.
around 2017 and like same thing, like I probably didn't have an Instagram for a year and a half and we built clientele and
Yes.
you think back like that would not happen today.
No.
You have to have social media.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're invisible. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody goes to websites anymore.
Right.
Well, Dr. Yolen.
Yes.
He doesn't do anything.
I love him.
And
that.
he's amazing. Yeah.
I remember asking him.
He's a
during-
unicorn.
Yes, I know. Like he goes, yeah, I don't do Google. I don't do any of that. And I'm like, wow. He goes, yeah, I'm booked out about almost 2 years. I'm like, that is
Yeah,
just
yeah, incredible.
amazing,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need to do it.
No.
Because he was also from the time I think before social media as well.
Yeah.
And when we have new injectors join our practice, I always tell them like, it's your responsibility to build your book, right? And while we have a lot of patients coming in through the practice for, injectables, for surgery, it really is on the provider to build up their clientele and to build their book. So that means social media, before and after photos, what have you. But yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is like the new wave we're going into with aesthetic, like future trends that you're going to see coming in maybe the next 10 years?
Well, I think we're starting to just see it now, right?
Right.
So we have PRF, PRP, exosome, stem cells, PDGF. Like there's just so many things happening right now with functional medicine as well. So I think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg now with biostimulators. So I think that is going to evolve and who knows where it's going to take us, right?
Right.
I think that there's great options out there. They might not be perfect at this point in time. Our practice just brought in the Easy Gel system.
Okay.
Do you
What are your
guys have
thoughts on
that?
that?
No, we don't.
I love it.
You love it?
It's just time consuming.
Okay.
So, but it really is great for skin quality. It's no replacement for injectable fillers, like where volume is needed, But for skin quality, it's really amazing.
Under eye.
Under eye.
Yeah. Are you using it in the nasolabial folds or other places, or mostly under eye?
Mostly under eye is really the reason why I thought this would be great for us, because there's a lot of candidates where just the skin is so thin and, you know, they can't really tolerate maybe HA, or maybe, you know, they could only tolerate a little bit of HA, but to get more superficial with it, I really think it's a win. So that's one move in that direction, right?
Yes.
Is that, so you put it in, but your body basically absorbs it and then it gives the growth factors.
Yes.
And so it leaves no volume behind.
Some volume,
Just
like
a
if you're
little bit.
doing the gel. So like there's PRF, which is like more liquidy. And then there's the PRF gel, which will stay for, say, you know, maybe weeks to months, right?
Okay.
But it's a slower release than PRP. So it's just saturating the tissue with more
Interesting.
growth
Okay.
factors. So it takes a little while.
Yeah. I'm sure, because you got to draw the blood.
Oh,
and then,
yes.
Yeah, you got to make it.
Does your medical assistant help
I
with it?
say to the office, I'm like, this feels like I'm stopping in the middle of my day to bake a quiche.
Oh
like,
my
there's
gosh.
just like, I'm going to just make all these ingredients and then
Oh,
just
man.
chop them up and put them in the oven. And then there's a timer
geez.
and
Yeah.
but it really is a great addition.
Yeah.
So it's for the
Yeah.
greater good.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
On social media, like what are some of like, what's like a major pet peeve of yours that you see like when you're looking on social media?
Many.
Is there,
have a whole list.
one that you feel comfortable or two talking about?
All right. So honest or dishonest before and after photos,
Yes.
right? Poor lighting. That speaks volumes to the patients, because now it's really playing with us, right? And the type of results that can be achieved out there. And the patients are believing that this is possible. So the lighting with the before and afters, the doctoring up of the photos, that's another thing, right? And then just the unprofessionalism, you know, just there should be just a way that we're presenting ourselves to our patients and to our colleagues. And, you know, we've worked so hard to gain respect. And I feel like, you know, there are just some providers who don't really have that respect for our field, maybe because they don't know about it too much. They had dollar signs in their eyes when they came into this. So they are the first ones to be doing the things that they're doing on social media. So I feel really strongly about that we have to maintain a level of professionalism.
Absolutely. We've talked about that before too. Like, this is at the end of the day a medical procedure,
Right.
and we need to remember that and keep
For
it a
me,
little more serious.
You know, for my Instagram and for socials, I like to keep things light, positive, educational, right? You know, I don't like to talk about, you know, oh, I'm so busy, this, that, or my schedule, look at my schedule today, things like that. And, and, you know, the other thing too, for me is big is, obviously, you know, there's practices all around, right? Competition, things like that. But, you know, say you have a patient coming from another practice, and, you know, they're coming with, you know, certain concerns, you treat them, you know, they came from another practice, and then you post the before and after, and then that other person, it's just that kind of revolving. Yeah. And that's that for me. And once I hear like they've come from somewhere else, I usually just don't even ask to post it, because you just want to maintain that camaraderie with the community. And I think that's super important.
Yeah. Or putting in the caption, like, patient from another, you know,
it's
swinging the whole thing. Yeah. And it truly, a lot of these things can happen to any of us. So treating a complication for someone else, you should do it, you know, in a poised way and not put it all over social media. And, you know.
I always wonder, like, is there a patient out there of mine that like, you know, didn't come back and see me? Like, I always put it out there too with my patients. Like, if there's ever any issues or concerns, please contact us, you know, so we can address it ourselves. But yeah, it's that type of behavior on social media that I really won't tolerate it, you know?
I agree.
Yeah.
What are your favorite areas on the face to inject? Like, what gives you joy? Like, if it's
So, I mean, I think all of us just love full face rejuvenation when a patient follows through with that plan, right? I love a loyal patient who stays on schedule, and then we can complete what we've talked about, right? But if we can't do that, like, gratifying areas for me are like a temple, especially if it's a significantly hollow temple. Chin can be really gratifying, especially if it's significantly recessed. I'm loving SkinViVe.
Oh, me too. Me too.
I mean,
We were talking
it's
about it earlier.
so beautiful. I think just it's the icing on the cake for a lot of patients, or not. It could be younger patients that's just looking for just that glow. But yeah, so but like, I love jawline. Like, that's my big thing. But you have to do cheeks before you treat a jawline in many cases. So it does turn into full face rejuvenation. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
When you do these consults, are they going with like a piece of paper? Does it get emailed? Like, is there anything?
So I write it down for them on a piece of paper. So they leave our practice with instructions, instructions for Botox, instructions for injectable fillers. And then on the back side, I'll just kind of address like, okay, I'll break it down into cheeks, chin, lips, perioral, jawline, and just kind of, write down the order to which I would do things in.
Sure.
So that's how I kind of set it up for the patient. Like, here's all of the things that I think are going to be really great for you. But here's how I would stage it into 1, 2, or 3 visits. And then this way we can work on, this, and this, at separate times. Sure. This way they feel like it's reachable goals within every visit. Right. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're starting mid-face majority of the time?
Usually I'm going from like cheek to chin and then pre-jowl and then,
Back in the gonial.
Yeah. Yeah. Like usually, a lot of patients can't do cheek, chin, and jawline all in one visit. Right. So then I'll do cheek, chin, pre-jowl, kind of focusing here. And then maybe on the second visit, I get them back to do their jawline. It really just depends on what's important. Right. So that's what I want to hear from the patient. Like, I have my priorities when I'm looking at a patient and assessing them and determining what treatments would be highly beneficial. But also I want to hear from the patient, like, but what's important to you? Because it's important that we hit the importance.
That is so true.
Right. And what the priorities are, because like, these are the things that I think are important, but I want you to weigh in and just let me know because if you don't touch somebody's nasolabial fold and they're really just so bothered by it, you kind of have to touch that on visit 1.
Right. They might not see a result and they don't trust you after that.
Right.
Yep.
Or like I treated a patient who had been a loyal Botox patient of ours, and she had just been Botox, right? And I had talked about cheeks with her, and I recommended 2 syringes, and then moving on to the folds, but she really just wanted to do one syringe. And it was that time, this was a while ago, I had treated just the cheeks with the 1 syringe. She never came back, because she didn't really see the value in it,
underwhelmed.
and like, I kind of went into it thinking like, okay, well, this is going to, help you wet your feet a little bit. And then the plan is to have you come back, and then we'll do the second syringe, and then we'll move on to your nasolabial folds. So, when you undertreat, you could be really doing them a disservice. So it's important to just be really transparent with them and help them understand, that you don't want them to see any value lost, and you want them to see the result.
Or like tell them, come back when you can afford like that full treatment.
Right. If you're not able at that time.
True.
Yeah. Because it is true. Because a lot of patients are like, oh, well, we could just do 1 and it can go here, here, here. Like, I can go my whole face. No, in reality, that's maybe 5 to 10 syringes.
Right.
And it's the education behind it that's important.
Totally.
What skincare do you use? Your skin's like...
Yeah, you have the best
stuff.
skin. You have the best
Thank you. I've stayed out of the sun or from here up. I love ZO.
Okay.
I love wrinkle and texture repair. I see you have it on the shelf.
We love ZO
Talk
too.
to me. Yeah. So I love ZO. I love, actually you got me hooked on Ilia.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh.
Drink it. It's so good. I mean, that's like a skin tint. That's like every day. Very important. It's a very important part of the skin plan.
I love it.
ZO, the exfoliating polish. I love it. What else? Daily Power Defense. Love that one. I'm loving Plated. Have you tried Plated?
I have not tried Plated.
No, I haven't.
Amazing.
Is it?
Yes.
What have you noticed?
Very special. It's just an all around great serum for the skin. So it's packed with growth factors. It was developed up in Mayo Clinic. It's got really great credentials behind it. But yeah, that goes on at night, and then I wait about 5 minutes before I start layering things on top of that.
Do you use a retinoid?
Wrinkle and texture repair.
Oh, got it. Yeah, ZO.
Yeah.
But
Can you tell I don't have ZO?
Yeah.
I mean, you are glowing. You look like
you have the best skin too.
You look like a child.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Mine's Skin Better. I'm a huge Skin Better fan. I love ZO too. The previous practice I was at, they had ZO. When I opened up my own, it was Skin Medica, and then Skin Better. I love the TNS. I usually do
TNS is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing since you're using Plated right? You're probably just kind of taking over.
I kind of still use
back and
both.
forth.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a whole medley of things.
Oh,
but-
me too.
Yeah.
And plated is probably nice. And TNS after microneedling and like those procedures to kind of speed up the recovery process too. Yes.
It is so funny too. Like after every serum, I'm like, okay, that needs 5 minutes. That needs to sit.
Yeah, it's like a whole process.
Layer the next
Gotta
one.
marinate.
Yeah.
The nighttime routine is very important.
Oh yeah. I never skip it. Never.
What do you believe in like the LED home devices? Like those
I
red light
have one
therapies?
too.
Yeah.
I love
Which
it.
one do you have?
I have Soluma.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, I got Omnilux.
Oh, that's the one you put directly on your face, right?
Yes.
I need to get one of these.
Yeah. The Soluma is like you just kind of put it over your head.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
But you can't really do much under it. At least with the one you have, you can kind of maybe be on your phone if you want or do other
It's
things.
blinding.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, can you open your eyes? Yeah.
Afterwards, I take it off. Everything's green.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yep,
is
yep.
this healthy for me?
I know.
don't
Should I have my eyes open right now?
Yeah. But they're great, for bruising, for just lymphatics, drainage. Yeah. I
Because
love
we
it.
were talking during COVID, obviously things were closed for a little bit. And I think people kind of started looking introspectively and like, what can I do at home to take care of my skin? Because they couldn't go get their facials for a little bit and things like that. And skincare has really blown up in the past 2 years, I think. Don't you?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think retinol is like the workhorse. So like, if you're going to leave the practice with one thing, especially if you're limited on a budget, retinol, sunscreen, vitamin C,
Right.
there's just certain pieces that you need to have.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
You guys have, what kind of devices do you have for your practice?
So I just got the Lutronic Hollywood Sculptra.
Oh, did you?
And that is an FDA approved device for melasma, which I have a little bit of that, like kind of on my cheeks and kind of on my forehead a little bit. So it's like a light pattern, but IPL definitely can make it worse, right?
Yes.
There's just certain things that can
Yeah.
make melasma worse. So, but yeah, this one seems to be improving it. It's 6 treatments, 1 month apart.
Okay.
So you got to be in it to win it.
Is this
I
device-
am. Yeah.
Is this device specifically for patients with melasma?
Yes.
Okay. Amazing. Because that's the hardest to treat.
Yeah.
Really hard. And also like, compliance, sunscreen and just kind of following through with things. So, what really helped with melasma, as far as like sunscreen and blockage, I have one of those like,
The like shield
the
visors.
shield.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The blue
I
stone
love
Did you
sun
post
shield.
with it once?
I
think you
did.
did, yes.
And you're going to make a lot of friends if you wear that on the beach.
Okay.
Yeah. I
need
mean,
to
it
get
looks
it.
like a
It's so
welding
funny.
mask.
Yeah.
But and while it's down and I'm like reading my book, I could see people like looking at me, look at her, look at her.
It
What
is
is she
also a
wearing?
way to keep people away. If you
yeah.
want to,
It's true.
You know?
It's true.
Like, this is my time.
I'm laser focused on this book, keeping the sun out of my face. But you know what? I came back from Aruba with nothing on my face.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, people always laugh at me because I'm a big fake tanner. So I'll go on vacation. I get a real dark spray tan beforehand and I come home pale.
Yes.
By the time that week is over,
Oh,
that spray
yeah.
tan is gone.
Hilarious.
What's your favorite injectable? Like right now, would you say whether
Product wise,
Yeah, product,
I
yeah.
mean, Volox is like the queen right
Yeah.
now.
or the jawline
Yeah.
jawline queen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm loving it. Between that and SkinViVe, I just think that it's
Yeah.
just really, really, really valuable tools right now. And gosh, it's only going to get better, right? But yeah, the Volox, I'm seeing such great longevity with it in the chin, especially if you get a stubborn chin, muscular, flat, like tight, when you do it once and say, especially a tight muscular chin that's very resistant to holding volume, these chins are holding up very nicely, like beyond what I even expected.
amazing.
So, and it allows us to move on to other things, right? So like, if things aren't long lasting enough, we're going to start spinning our wheels and exhausting somebody's resources. And like, you really want them to get to a point where they can eventually move on to doing other things within your practice, right? So long lasting effects are really important.
Do you think it's because of the cohesivity?
Yes.
Yeah. 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 I agree. Yeah. I feel like it's also like helping to stretch the tissue just a little bit more, right?
The G prime, the cohesivity, that combination is huge, And with chins, I always like to put a little Botox in there, just kind of helps.
I was going to
things
ask you,
settle
do you do it same time or do you like to separate it?
Same time.
Same time.
I mean, it
Yeah.
would be great if it was done like 2 weeks prior. This way it's nice and relaxed.
Right.
But yeah,
In reality,
I'll do
how
it same
often
day.
does that happen? Yeah.
It's hard.
Now with a recessed chin, if someone, because sometimes the mentalis muscle, they need that muscle to like close their mouth, right? There's sometimes you choose not to treat it because of that. Or what do you think with dimpling?
I just put just enough in there. Like so I'll put like 6 to 8 units in the chin, nothing crazy. But who needs to close their mouth?
Who needs that?
That's good.
Not me.
And sometimes the filler too.
It's a jaw-dropping result.
Oh my God, you have to tagline that.
Yes, that's so good.
That's hysterical.
But also with the filler, it can help to smooth the dimpling too, I have found.
Totally.
Yeah, because it's almost like the muscle needs the support.
It does.
Yes.
The myomodulation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like too, I've been seeing a lot of handsome Squidwards on Instagram, like way too much jawline filler.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Do you have any pointers for anyone when they're trying to treat a jawline? Like I personally feel like there's some patients you just shouldn't go chasing because you're never going to get that result and you're going to be trying to build, and you're going to just make them look bulky.
Right. Like there are some patients where their bone structure is so deep that if you put it there, it's not even going to be visible.
Right.
So it's picking and choosing the right patients and also putting just enough on a more, sub-Q or more superficial where you're not building out this floating jawline. Sure. So I think that, some people coming in asking for jawline have a great jawline.
Oh my God,
right? It's so true. So true.
So like you have the snatched jawline, right?
Right.
So it's really just adding extra pop so that the light reflection hits off of it more. But I think that, if they keep seeking more, and I think we all have patients like this where it's never enough and they just want more in the chin. And I'm like, okay, first of all, let's look at your photos and let's put you at a 90-degree angle so we can see where things are falling right now. And, I always kind of set this up where, here's what's aesthetically pleasing and, where your lip should be in relationship to the chin and just kind of talking through the aesthetic norms, what we find are aesthetically pleasing and just kind of, pumping the brakes on things sometimes, It's important.
We call that a green flag provider, right?
Yes, a green flag. Yes. Yeah, 100%. So just to wrap up, what is some advice that you would give an injector or even someone outside of aesthetics that are watching this or listening in on?
Some advice for entering the field?
Yes.
It's important to seek out mentorship, right? It's important to, practice responsibly, right? Ethically, and also, education, investing in yourself. It's a lot of money to invest in yourself with this. It's not just taking a weekend course. Even the trainings that we provide with Allergan, it's 4 hours. Those courses are not intended to be your end all be all. That's in support of the education that you've already given to yourself, right? So, taking courses, becoming a member of professional organizations such as iSpan, right? This is something that must happen yearly, taking a cadaver course, more than one cadaver course, and really getting a good understanding of the anatomy so that you feel confident if or when a complication arises, because it's not if, it is when, and it will happen, and you have to be comfortable with that. Right? There's vasculature everywhere, right? So, no matter where we treat, we're taking a risk. It's just, is it high risk? Is it low risk? It's a risk, right? So I think it's important that they understand that, there is a lifelong education involved with this. It just doesn't stop, when you learn in the beginning.
I love that. Now, Melissa, for those of the people that are watching and listening, where can they follow you on social media? What is your Instagram handle?
I'm at aesthetic_nurse_Melissa.
Amazing. And where's your practice?
I'm in Paramus, New Jersey.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a fun time.
This was awesome.
Thanks for giving up your Sunday to come hang out with us.
Of course.
Yes. And thank you guys all for tuning in to this week's episode of Fill Me In. We hope you enjoyed it.